Hello everyone, I'm Provic, your church media solution guy, and in this video I will show you practical tips to speed up your editing workflows and clean up your church's sermon audio for a more professional sound. And for this demonstration I'm going to be using Audacity. So let's get started. The number one tip is use the ACX check plugin. The ACX check plugin is a third-party plugin on Audacity. It shows me information about my RMS level, my peak level, and noise floor, as you can see on the screen. And this helps in making better editing decisions, especially when I want to use compressors or when I'm ready to export my audio. I'd analyze the audio using the ACX check plugin, and this will let me know if the audio is ready for export. So I'd usually start my sermon or start recording with a safety margin. The concept of the safety margin is just hitting the record button before the actual sermon starts. And that is so that I don't miss when the actual sermon starts, and which has happened to me many times. So I have a recording here and the actual sermon doesn't start until about 3 minutes in, somewhere around here. Yeah. So usually I'll place my cursor here and zoom out to get rid of my safety margin. Zoom out, highlight, delete, then zoom in again. But do this instead. So there's a feature, there are two features. So one is called split in Audacity. The shortcut here is Ctrl-I, and the other is called start to zero. The shortcut here is Shift-I. So let's bring back our safety margin. So Ctrl-Z, safety margin is back. Then what I'll do is I just go to where the actual sermon starts. Yes, yeah. I'll place my cursor there. Then I use the split key, Ctrl-I, and this will cut the audio into two sections rather. Then I'll select my safety margin, delete, then select my sermon, then snap to zero and Shift-I, and that would take my audio to the beginning. So the next tip is use the truncate silence effect. So the shortcut here is T. So usually the sermon or your sermon would have silent parts, perhaps areas where the preacher is trying to search for scriptures and the likes. For me, I consider anything above 3 to 4 seconds of silence as not necessary. So instead of manually scanning through your audio and looking for the silent parts and cutting them out or shortening them, use the truncate silence effect instead. So first and first, we'll load up our ACX plugin to see the level of our silent parts. So currently our peak level for this silent part is minus 51.19 dB. Now load up the truncate silence effect. So the threshold here sets what counts as silence. So currently when you scream, anything from minus 38 dB below is considered a silent part. So but I'll use 51 because the peak level from our ACX check reading was 51. Then duration determines how long the silence has to be before it gets affected. And currently we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so about 5 seconds of silence. So yeah, 5 is fine. Then truncate determines how short the silence becomes. So I'll leave this as 3 seconds. So let's apply. As you can see, it has shortened the silent parts. So all that is left is to highlight the entire audio, apply the truncate silent effect, and it would shorten the silent parts of your audio automatically. Next tip is use punch, copy, and paste. So punch, copy, and paste is a third-party Audacity plugin. I use it to replace noisy parts with clean background sound. Let's listen to this part right here. So I'm sure you can hear this part has a lot of noise, clicks, breath noise as well. So what I do is I look for a part in the audio that has clean background sound, and I punch copy it, then I punch paste to clean up my noisy parts, or to clean up the noisy parts. So this part right here is a clean background sound. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to punch copy it. So Alt C, enter. Then I return to the noisy parts. Then I paste. So let's listen to this part again. So as you can see, we now have a cleaner and better sounding audio. So punch, copy, and punch paste is different from the normal copy and paste. The normal copy and paste just puts the audio wherever you want, but punch, copy, and paste is different. It only replaces the parts you select, keeping the surrounding audio in place. The next tip is to use labels. So I use labels to mark different sections of my audio so I can easily find them. How you create a label is you highlight a section in your audio you like to recall quickly later, and that will be Ctrl B, and you name it. And this creates a labeled point. To navigate different labeled points in your audio, you use the Alt and the right arrow key. As you can see, it will drum through different labeled points. The final tip is use fade in and fade out. So I use fade in and fade out to make the beginning and the end parts of my audio sound smooth, giving it a more professional feel. So let's listen to how this audio starts. Now let's add about 4 seconds of fading effect, and let's hear what it sounds like.
What a privilege.
So yes, that's how I make my audio sound more professional, by adding a fade into the beginning and also fade out to the end part of the audio. So the same thing applies for the ending parts. So just come, highlight, effect, then fade out. And here's a bonus tip: use shortcuts. So shortcuts makes you work faster, makes you edit faster and more efficiently. You can also create your own custom shortcuts. So all you just have to do is go to edit, go to preferences, then select the feature you want to create a shortcut key for. Simplify. I already have it as A. So when you click on it, come here, type in your preferred shortcut, press set, and press OK. Thank you for staying true to the end of this video. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video.